So we're going to look at the 3 different paths to Business Central. The first path to Business Central is a direct migration. There is a Microsoft utility that was released a few versions back in Business Central that allows any client leveraging Dynamics GP 2015 or newer to copy tables directly from GP to Business Central. So there's a mapping utility that will lift the configurations and the data from those tables to Business Central. Think of this most like a technical upgrade. The system is doing the heavy lifting to move the data and the records, and it's creating an environment for you where we will leverage as a baseline. What I mean by that is we'll run that migration utility, and then we'll walk through what that means for your chart of accounts. So as a specific example, in Business Central, your segment will become a dimension, and your chart of accounts will then otherwise exist as it is today in GP. And we would use that as a starting point to start walking through with your finance team some basic training, both navigational in nature and business process in nature, to show the functionality in the application and what that means for your business processes. Typically, leveraging this option is a good fit for businesses who have flexibility in their core business processes. And what I mean by that is, think about the GL, AP, AR, that core financial components, as well as basic management of items and inventory. As a part of this technical upgrade, we're not reconfiguring the application, so we're not changing the behavior of Business Central in comparison to GP. A specific example of that would be that there's no change to the costing valuation method. We're literally lifting that directly from GP straight into Business Central. The other consideration here is that your companion products have cloud-ready extensions. So if you're currently leveraging Avalara for sales tax and GP, we know that they have a cloud-ready extension, and we would include that as part of our project effort. But going through that review is really important. The other thing I would say relative to the direct migration is to evaluate reports. So if you've got a large volume of custom reports built today, that doesn't mean that this option wouldn't work for you. It actually likely would. What you would need to consider is how you'd like to manage those custom reports going forward. That could be by leveraging Power BI. It could be learning the out-of-the-box reports available in Business Central, or it could be using a third-party reporting tool like Jet Reports. So as a part of looking at this migration, again, just think of this most like a technical upgrade. When we walk through this process with clients, typically this is the most straightforward path to Business Central. We're leveraging those Microsoft tools, and again, just replicating what's occurring in GP today in Business Central, yet still unlocking that integration set to Outlook, Power BI, the web services, and other areas of the application. The next path to Business Central is a hybrid model. This also leverages the Microsoft utility, but instead of using it for a one-time upgrade to lift data from GP to Business Central, it actually allows the systems to run in parallel. There's a dual use license that Microsoft offers that allows you to run a production instance of Dynamics GP and a production instance of Business Central. So what happens is we stand up that sandbox and production environments in the cloud for Business Central. We turn on the data replication, and the same tables that would be handled by the migration are then replicated from GP to Business Central, and we can set the run to push updates to that data on a scheduled cadence. So it can be daily, it can be weekly, and we can leverage that to populate Business Central And then depending on where you're at as an organization, we can then modify master data in Business Central. So we can turn on the replication, we can allow multiple loads of data to replicate over to Business Central. And then once that data lands in Business Central, for many different areas, we're able to actually modify that master data. Some examples of where this is a great option is if you've got customer records that you'd like to purge from the system, you've got the option to do only active or all. Same thing on the vendor record side. If you've got vendor records that you need to clean up in the application, you can do only active or all. You do get some of that historical data pulled over, again, the same as in the previous example, the direct migration. And you're able to leverage that sandbox environment that stood up to do data cleansing, testing, business process mapping. So if you want to manage where a process exists in GP and then attempt to replicate that in Business Central, and then potentially tweak and rerun that business process in Business Central, there's the option there. And what's great about that is if you've got some limited business process changes, this is a good option for your organization. And lastly, if you've got a specific set of data above and beyond normal unit testing or user acceptance testing, where you want to measure side-by-side inputs and outputs for an extended period of time, either due to a large volume of master data cleanup or significant business process changes, this is an option to consider. This is an option that, for us, we see fewer clients take advantage of. Most folks, once they do the critical self-analysis, are typically able to leverage that migration more like a technical upgrade, and don't need the additional legroom or time in their project to replicate data multiple times from GP to Business Central. But just know that this is an option that's available to you and something that we can help partner with you to determine if this is the right fit or not. The third option that's available is to start fresh. So in some instances, when we work with clients and we evaluate their current installation of Dynamics GP and we walk through those business processes, we find that there's a pretty big drift between what's happening in the application and what's happening outside and around the application. What I mean by that is, it's not uncommon if your organization has been using Dynamics GP for 10 years or maybe 15 years, maybe longer, that the configurations in GP haven't kept up with your business. Some examples might be that your chart of accounts is outdated and you're doing a lot of manual intervention when you're doing your final financial report outs to either roll up or reclass transactions from one account to another. Another example might be if you're currently selling non-inventory items and you'd actually like to start selling those items as inventoried items, maybe out of multiple locations. Lastly, it might be if your process has been reactive in nature, so you process the transaction after it occurs, as opposed to proactive processing, processing a transaction in real time or as the events are occurring in real life. In any case, when we see that drift between the system and current state, it's healthy to take a step back and understand, why did that happen? And sometimes we find that that's because the system didn't keep up with the business. So what we recommend is starting fresh. You can still leverage your investment in Dynamics GP for discounted Business Central licenses. And in that case, what we do is truly spin up a brand new installation of Business Central. And then in order to move data to that installation, we actually leverage a different Microsoft tool called Rapid Start. Rapid Start is a standard part of Business Central and allows us to import data packages. Those data packages could include the chart of accounts, customer records, OpenAR, OpenAP, vendor records, open purchase orders or sales orders, items, inventory, really any table that exists within Business Central. We can create Rapid Start packages of data in Excel to import into the application. So there is a need to do that data migration exercise, but it allows you the greatest degree of flexibility if there's a people, process, technology realignment exercise that needs to occur. This option also allows extensive business process change. What I mean by that is it allows you to implement new modules during the project. It allows you to re-engineer significant changes to your business process. Maybe the creation of production orders is inefficient or ineffective for your business today. If you're upgrading or replacing those companion products, so today you might be using a solution for payroll, and you'd like to use a different payroll third-party solution in the future. We see this commonly with some of the smaller third-party or companion products where they've chosen not to go to the cloud, or where that companion product really isn't meeting your business need anymore, and you need something that's right-sized for your business. Sometimes that's more robust functionality. Sometimes that means using 2 companion products instead of 1 to get just the specific functionality that you need. In any case, starting fresh is a great option if you need to replace or upgrade those companion products. The last piece I would emphasize here is that this option allows you the greatest flexibility and opportunity for automation as part of the project. So in the other 2 options that we talked about, either the hybrid approach or a technical migration to Business Central, certainly we can include work effort or tasks around workflow automation or approval automation. In the Start Fresh option, because we are taking 2 steps back and looking at those business process changes, and in some cases extensively changing those business processes, we can accommodate more automation. And that would be like the items that I mentioned here. It also would be thinking about where the system can do some heavy lifting for you. One of the key functions within Business Central is the job queue. The job queue can run automated posting routines or automated process routines on behalf of you or your end users using rule-based logic. It's a great way to have processes kick off and run, as an example, overnight while folks are at home enjoying dinner. And then when you arrive at work the next day, the process is concluded and the results are in the system. Those results might be posted shipments or posted sales invoices. It might be the creation of production orders based on a specific set of parameters. In any case, I just think it's something to highlight. This option gives you more flexibility, but certainly is a larger effort to engage in because we are leveraging tools as well as consultants and potentially developers.